What up, sports fans? Waxon Wednesday, Jake Waxman, Tyler Lavalette. Two guys talk sports. Let's do this. All right. Happy New Year, sports fans. Welcome to 2024. It's good to see you all again. And I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful New Year's. And I wish you all the best start to the new year possible. Let's get down to business. First Wax on Wednesday of 2024. All right, so this is going to be all about football. The focus is entirely football, football, more football. I'll just get right to it. We're going to start with this upcoming weekend. We got the last week of the NFL regular season, or Week 18 as they call it. So we'll take a look at the scenarios right now. So here's how things look as they stand. I'll start with the AFC side of things. Ravens, Dolphins, Chiefs, and Browns have all clinched a playoff spot. In the hunt, Jacksonville, the Jaguars, the Buffalo Bills, and the Colts are all still in the hunt. So the AFC, for the record, the AFC South right now still has yet to be decided, and as with the other two wildcard spots. Cleveland and Baltimore right now. I think Baltimore has locked up the number one seed in the AFC, while Cleveland has an 11. Yep, as of right now, so Baltimore has the AFC North clinched as well as the number one seed. So Cleveland right now at best can have a wild card spot. So, and then on the bubble you got Texans and the Steelers. So those are the two. Those are teams that are still alive. To have a shot at making the playoffs. So, as of right now, I think things are going to remain the way they are. I think I'm going to go with Jacksonville holding on to win the AFC South. They'll get that hard-earned win over Tennessee. Of course, if Jacksonville loses, here's a scenario for the AFC South. Okay. It's between the Jags, Colts, and Texans. Any one of those teams can win that division. If Jacksonville loses, that opens the door for both Indy and Houston to win the AFC South. And they both play each other. But all that being said, I think the Jaguars still beat the Titans, and I think they get the AFC South. I think the Bills hold on to a wild card spot. They win over. They'll fight with Miami over it, but I think as of right now, they still, even if the Bills lose, they still got a very high percentage of making the postseason due to their record and the quality of wins they have. But I think Miami's going to rest their starters, and I think the Bills get the win over the Dolphins. And then here's the fascinating battle, the Colts and the Texans. This is going to be a good battle because the winner of this game is going to the postseason, and the loser, unfortunately, is probably going to be eliminated. Both of these two teams, the Colts and the Texans, have overperformed this season. I mean, just absolutely have done way more than they were predicted to. And here they are. And you know what? Both deserve to be in this position. No doubt about that. Now, with that being said, I think it's going to be a great battle. And I admire C.J. Stroud and the Texans for the work they've done. Stroud's good. Right now, he's got a bright NFL future and seems like a good guy. Unfortunately, with that said, Colts will be at home for this game, and I think that home field advantage will probably make the difference in this game. So I'm going to go with the Colts over the Texans in that Week 18 matchup, and the Colts hold on to get that seventh and final wild card spot. Then on the NFC side of things, 49ers have locked up the number one seed and the NFC West. Cowboys right now are number 2, Detroit Lions at number 3. Then the Eagles have at least clinched a playoff spot. They'd have the 5th wild card spot as of now, and then the Los Angeles Rams, what a bounce-back season for them. Holding on to that 6th wild card spot. Right now, and then in the NFC South, Buccaneers currently hold it. But hey, it could still come down between the Saints and the Falcons for that NFC South. And the Packers hold the final wild card spot. So here's my prediction there. I think the Buccaneers are playing the Carolina Panthers. I think the Buccaneers beat the Panthers and hold on to win the NFC South. And here's my bold prediction. This is going to be my boldest prediction for Week 18. My Chicago Bears play spoiler, beat the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay, and knock them out of the postseason. I think that is what I'm going with for my boldest prediction for Week 18. we all know what happened the last time the two teams met. I haven't forgotten about that, but the Bears are much different compared to the last time the Packers saw them, and I think the Bears are playing with a bit more confidence. They're eliminated, of course. They won't be in the postseason, and they got nothing to lose. They already got the number 1 pick. Can play loose. Might as well. And why not go and get that satisfying feeling of knocking your biggest rival out of the postseason, just like Detroit did a year ago? And who do I think is going to get that final wild card spot? It could be either the Seahawks or the Saints, or maybe even the Falcons. For both, all those are vying for a spot. I don't think the Vikings are going to get it because they got Detroit, and Detroit's probably going to want to finish with the best record possible. I'm going to roll with the Seahawks getting the final wild card spot because they play Arizona, who's trying to get the highest draft pick possible. So there you go. So that's the playoff picture as of now, and that's my prediction for Week 18. More of my predictions. And now, speaking of the Chicago Bears. All right, so they're eliminated. I mentioned that, and number 1 pick is locked up. Now, let's go over some scenarios as to what may happen going forward for the Chicago Bears. And this upcoming draft in Detroit is going to be probably the biggest in the history of the Chicago Bears. They've got not one, but 2 first-round picks. And both of them likely going to be at the very least top 15 picks. So you got the first pick. The next one will depending on what the Bears do against Green Bay, if they win or lose, it'll at the very least be a top 15 pick. And it's in the first. So 2 first-round picks. So it all comes down to what the Bears decide to do with Justin Fields. So here's scenario number 1. The Bears decide to trade Justin Fields and get the best value possible, get all the picks they can, like draft capital they can. So if that happens, what that means is the Bears are looking for a new quarterback. That means they are ready to move on from Fields, or they've gotten the deal that they just can't refuse, and they think there is a quarterback out there that they really, really like. Whether it be Caleb Williams or someone else like a Drake May or a Jaden Daniels or even Michael Penix, to name a few. So that's scenario number 1. And if that happens, that means the Bears are likely looking for a quarterback. If they trade Justin Fields, they are definitely looking for a quarterback back in this draft. And that's probably what they'll use the first pick on. And then there's scenario number 2. Scenario number 2, the Bears decide we're going to hold on to Justin Fields for another year. We believe in him, and we think he can lead us to the playoffs. And and scenario number 2, by the way, that's what I'm hoping happens, of course. I think the Bears should keep Justin Fields. So if they do that, what that means is the door is wide open for a lot of choices for the Bears to make. So if they keep Justin Fields, that likely means they are not looking at a quarterback with that first overall pick. And that opens the door potentially for the Bears to trade down again from number 1 and get as much draft capital as possible. Or they could do it at number 1, they could go and get another weapon for Justin Fields, like Marvin Harrison Jr. That's what I'd love to see him go get that. I'd love to see him go get Marvin Harrison Jr. Or if possible, they may trade down and then go pick him at say number 2 or number 3. Or a lot of different things could come out of that scenario, and then they get whatever help Fields needs. Or there's a possibility that even in scenario number 2, they could still go get a quarterback, somebody to compete with Fields. So it may not be like a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. It could be someone like Michael Penix, who you could get later on in the draft. And by the way, I've watched Michael Penix play, and I like what I see from him, and he'd probably be a good system fit for the Bears. Of course, he'd be a quarterback that maybe doesn't scramble as much, but could stay in the pocket. So just some of my thoughts there. So one of 2 things is going. So just to give you a refresher, one of 2 things is going to happen, and it's going to lead to multiple things happening. Scenario number 1 is the Bears trade Justin Fields, and then scenario number 2 is they keep Justin Fields, because this is going to be a contract year, or they're going to big year for Justin Fields, regardless of where he goes or what happens. So that is what's going to happen, and whatever happens right now is anyone's guess. Ryan Poles is going to take his time to make this decision, because there's no doubt he wants to get this right. He wants to he wants to evaluate everything that's happened, keep everything in mind, and make that decision there. I know going to be a lot of tough conversations going on behind the doors. So one of those 2 things is going to happen. Bears are either going to trade Justin Fields, or they're going to keep him and get him more help in the draft. So whatever happens, that is going to have an effect on what the Bears do in free agency and in this upcoming draft. That is going to be for the Chicago Bears going into 2024, or the offseason 2024, to keep Fields or to not keep Fields. That is the question. And whichever way they go will have a big impact on what they do this offseason. Okay. Now on to the final subject. All right, we got the college football national championship. First of all, congrats to Michigan, and congrats to Washington on winning their bowl games. Of course, Michigan, the champions of the Rose Bowl, and Washington, the champions of the Sugar Bowl. So both these two teams will meet in Houston, and I'm excited about this matchup. I mean, you got a powerful offense in the Washington Huskies versus Michigan's vaunted defense, which helped them win the Rose Bowl against a damn good Alabama team. And Washington, of course, just escaping the Texas Longhorns in an offensive shootout. Now, I just gotta say that last play to win the game on defense for Washington was impressive. Although it did have me saying, how was that not pass interference? I'll keep watching that over and over again, and maybe someday I'll be like, okay, maybe that wasn't pass interference. It looked like it, but what do I know? It's still an amazing play. The guy swatting the ball away to win the game. Amazing play, but was it pass interference? That's a question. But nonetheless, both of these two teams deserve to be here and deserve this opportunity to compete for a national championship. Now, I know what you all think of Michigan. Oh, they're cheaters on Stein stealing, but they're here for a reason. It is what it is. So, fascinating matchup. And how about this? So, in the first college football playoff national championship, it was the Big Ten versus the Pac-12. So, you had Oregon and Ohio State that first year. And in the last year of college football as we know it, how about this? Fittingly, it's Big Ten versus Pac-12 once again. This time, Michigan and Washington. And of course, technically, you could say it's Big Ten versus Big Ten because Washington is joining the Big Ten next season. So, you got Michigan with a chance to add to its history and Washington who will have an opportunity to deliver one final championship for the Pac-12 before it becomes the Pac-2. Or at least the Pac-12, as far as I know, is folding up. Now, what happens to Oregon State and Washington State, we'll see. I'm sure they'll find a conference to play at some point. All right. All that being said, you got two fantastic quarterbacks, Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy going at it. And then I mentioned the Michigan defense, and then Washington defense, they're no slouch either. They can play. All right. It's going to be a very close game. Like I said, should be a really high quality and exciting matchup to watch. With all that being said, I'm a believer in this saying, defense wins championships. I'm going to go with the team that has the superior defense. I think it's going to take a great defense to win this championship game, and I think Michigan's defense is just going to be a little too much for Michael Penix and the Huskies. I'm going to go with Michigan to win the national championship by a score. Whew, tough one. I am going to go with a score of 27-21 in favor of the Michigan Wolverines. It'll be close, but I think Michigan's defense will win the day for the Wolverines and give Jim Harbaugh a national championship as the coach. And who knows, it may be the final game for Jim Harbaugh as the coach of the Michigan Wolverines. Rumor has it he's looking at an NFL job. We'll see. But my prediction is 27-21 Michigan Wolverines, national champions 2023. All right, on to this day in sports history. And on this day, and I'll have two to read off to you. On this day, the 3rd of January, 1971, the first ever AFC championship. Now, this is after the AFL and the NFL merged, so then they became the NFC and the AFC. So, first AFC championship at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. The Baltimore Colts defeat the Oakland Raiders 27-17 to advance the Super Bowl, and then on that same day, the first ever NFC championship at Kaiser Stadium in San Francisco. The Dallas Cowboys beat the San Francisco 49ers 17-10. All right, sports fans, that's all I got for this week. Enjoy all the football this weekend. Once again, Happy New Year, sports fans. And thanks for... Hey, and if you guys got a question, leave it down below, and I'll try to answer it next week. All right. Thank you for watching. This is Jake Waxman from Two Guys Talk Sports saying so long.